post it, hopefully get it posted on our website tomorrow for those who weren't able to join tonight. So I am going to try to share my screen and just share a few things with you. As I mentioned, the goal here is to just try to get people information that maybe you have, maybe you don't have. So the goal here again is to give people some information, but mostly to give people a chance to ask questions if there are any questions out there hanging out right now. So we're going to get started. And again, welcome, Phoenix Talent Rising Academy. It's pretty exciting for us. Just so there's a little background, the genesis of this school, and it is a school, was the kind of virtual academy that started last year as a response to the pandemic and distance learning and providing parents and families with options for distance learning. So the district decided to reconstitute that program as it's its own school. So we have our own school ID. We are going to have our own mascot, which is I know the kids are going to be excited about. But the goal with that school is to continue on forward beyond the pandemic and provide options for families that prefer this mode of instruction for their kids. So the good thing about it is it can be tailored to just about anybody's needs as far as travel, location, schedules. So we're excited to offer that service to families. We're trying to offer something that's a little different from traditional school in that regard. And I think that all of us will recognize that traditional school works well for lots of kids, but there are some kids who it maybe doesn't. So we're just trying to provide one more avenue for our families to access education in a way that meets their needs. So some of the things are going to be the same from last year, and some are going to be a little different. So let's talk about who we are and who our teachers are. We've got 2 teachers right now, and I'm not sure if that's going to remain the same or change. We will have at least 2 teachers, depending on what the enrollment numbers continue to do over the next week. We may have to add another teacher. We'll see. But at the moment, we have 2 teachers. We've got Miss Faith Milton. She's our elementary teacher, K-5. I know that many of you had a chance to meet her, or maybe you'd met her already, but had a chance to interact with her today. She's she's been in our district for a long time, since 2006, taught a lot of different things at the intermediate and primary grades. And she really loves kids, loves teaching reading. Those of you who had her last year as a teacher know that. This is her second year of virtual instruction. Miss Ayers Flood is our 6th through 8th grade teacher. She's been a middle school teacher in our district for a long time. I see that 1993. Is that right, Heather? Yikes. I see I graduated high school. That doesn't make you old, though. But she's been teaching since 1993 in our district. And when I was at Talent Middle School with her, she taught computers, she taught yearbook, video classes. She's taught many other things. She's coached volleyball. She's done a lot of things. So she's had a lot of experience with kids in our district and our community. And bottom line with Miss Ayers is that she's just passionate about connecting with kids over whatever their interests are. And she's coming back with her second year as well of virtual instruction. So briefly about me, I had a chance to meet several of you. I know some of you just from previous experience. I've been working in the district since 2005. I taught 5th through 8th grades for 8 years. I was a principal at Talent Elementary for a period of time and principal at Talent Middle School until just this year. So had a lot of experience in the district doing different things. And then finally, the 4th member of our team is Denny Goodwin. So Denny is the one that's probably been sending you emails, been making phone calls, coordinating, kind of hassling you about getting your kids registered or finishing registration. I know that can be a little bit of a hurdle for families. So that's kind of what she's been doing up until school starts. Once school gets rolling tomorrow and in the future, she's going to work primarily as our instructional assistant. So especially for those of you with younger kids, you're going to be seeing her running small group instruction and math and reading, primarily reading, but some math. And prior to coming to us, she worked as an IA at Orchard Hill Elementary, an instructional assistant over there. And last year, she also helped out with the virtual academy. So she's going to be a common person for you guys to contact or to hear from when it comes to logistical things, paperwork, things like that. So You can get used to getting emails and phone calls from Denny. So let's talk a little bit about the elementary program and its structure. And Faith, feel free to jump in at any point along here if you want to add anything. But essentially, the elementary program is a school-based program, and parents are going to be, or parents or caregivers are going to be doing some teaching. And Miss Milton is there to assist with support and planning and assessment, making sure that we're covering the things that we need to cover. But there's going to be some opportunities at home for parents to participate in the education of their students. In fact, it's going to be necessary to make sure it's done right. Every grade level is going to have hybrid, virtual and in-person, synchronous class meetings every day for 30 minutes. So there's opportunities for kids to come in. If parents are not comfortable with kids coming in to our facility, they do not have to, for sure. So there will be a hybrid opportunity there. But we're trying to provide things that are in person for those who are comfortable with that, as well as provide virtual opportunities for those who are not comfortable with that or simply can't for whatever reason. Maybe you're out of town, maybe whatever the case. So, but every day, 30 minutes, there's going to be synchronous class meetings. There'll be small group instruction for reading and math, which we talked about already, generally in the afternoons. And those additional services will be scheduled. And primarily, again, Miss Milton, but also Denny Goodwin will be involved in that as well. We have specific reading and math curricula. That's the same as all the other elementary schools in our district. That is Ready Math and Wonders Reading. So they'll be getting instruction in the same curriculum that all of our elementary students get. And then our writing and science and social studies and art are kind of open-ended. There's opportunities for you guys to fit those in as best meets your needs, but there's opportunities in all those areas. And then there's going to be opportunities for in-person project-based learning, social time. We're going to have access to school libraries, also access to lunches. And that reminds me, I will be sending out a survey this week about which families are interested in having their students access lunches and breakfasts. So you can look for that coming out here later this week. And then Miss Milton will have office hours every day to support students, but also parents. I know that parents are going to have a lot of questions. So Mrs. Milton, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think you did a great job covering everything.
Well, that's good because it came from all your letter.
That must be why it's good. If you could send me a message through email or class tag, letting me know if your student plans to be coming in person, that would be really wonderful. That way I just have an idea of numbers and that's my one request.
All right, great. Let's move ahead then. We'll talk a little bit about the middle school program. So it's mostly an independent program. Those of you who participated in it last year will know that or will remember that. The classes are provided primarily through Edmentum. Miss Ayers does have a few other classes that are not operated through Edmentum, and she might talk about that a little later. The Google Classroom platform is the key way to interact, though, with the class. Every class or every student will take 3 classes per quarter. And for some students, you could potentially add a 4th class if the parents and Miss Ayers agree that would be appropriate. So outside of that, they'll be taking 2 core classes and 1 elective. And I think that we talked about that the core classes in the first half of the year would be math and social studies, and the second half will be science and language arts. So you'll get more information from Ms. Ayers on those. You'll also have information as to which elective classes students are eligible to take. So Ms. Ayers is going to have 2 virtual meets per week. And those are synchronous meets. And then she'll have office hours each day. And of course, students can also always schedule time with her. And then same thing with intervention and support services. So there's going to be in-person opportunities typically each week with Ms. Ayers to get together in person for those who are comfortable with that and have the opportunity to get kids there for that. But we're really looking to try to expand our social opportunities for kids this year. And that's one of the ways we're going to do it. So Ms. Ayers, do you have anything you would like to add to any of that?
I think you covered it. Again, you probably stole that from me. So
100%.
Yeah. The one thing that I know I explained to a couple of parents today, because there was a little bit of confusion. The reason why they only take 3 classes is because those classes are semester classes that they take in a quarter. So they're doubling down on those subject areas. And instead of taking all of their core classes all year long, they take half of them for one semester and then half of them for the next. So it's a little different in that way. And then as far as electives go, I will be sending out information about electives probably tomorrow morning, unless I have the energy to do it tonight.
Right.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yep. And it took me a little while to wrap my head around that schedule too, but if you pencil it out, it's actually the same number of classes as a typical middle schooler would take in a year. It's just formatted in a different way. So they crush everything into each semester rather than spreading it out over the year. So once you kind of pencil it out, you see that it works out the same, but that's how this kind of operates. So let's move forward, and we're going to talk about attendance. So speaking of attendance, the state requires that every student attend school. If you're under 18 or under 21 in some cases, all students are required to attend school with some exceptions. But that applies to us in a virtual or hybrid format as well. So students have to attend every day, but of course attendance looks a little bit different in a virtual school at times. Our goal is for all of our students to achieve a 95% attendance rate or higher for the year. Now, the good news about that is there's a lot of ways to attend, quote, attend school if you're in a virtual environment like we are. So here are some examples. Typically, most kids do this, log on to a live or synchronous session of classes. So anybody who shows up at a live class, whether it's in person or virtually, that counts as the attendance for the day. A kid could complete, and the state hasn't really nailed this down, but it's somewhere between 2 and 3 hours of active coursework in a day. So even if the student doesn't do anything interacting with the teacher, if they complete that amount of work, active work, and we can tell that through Edmentum, those students are covered for their attendance. You can complete a day's worth of work on a weekend. So that's the other cool thing. If a student was for some reason unable to participate on a Thursday because they were sick or because they were traveling or whatever the case, they can actually get work done on a Saturday, and we can retroactively give them credit for attendance on that day that they missed. So that's something obviously you can't do in traditional school. With parents and students making contact with a teacher, that also counts as attendance. So if there's a kindergarten student and the parent is emailing with the teacher on a given day, that counts as attendance for that student. And then finally, attending any in-person or school-sponsored activity. So if we have a social gathering at the classroom, if there's a walk down to Bear Creek or something that the class is doing, that counts as attendance as well. So there's many ways to meet the requirements of attendance. In fact, many more ways than in a traditional school. So I feel pretty good about the fact that we should be able to get all of our kids attending 95% of the days or more. Really, the only way your student is not attending is if they don't do anything and don't connect with anyone at our school all day. And even then, they've got the opportunity to retroactively gain attendance. So lots of great ways to do it. Moving forward, so grades, testing, and report cards. Those of you who, whether you were with Virtual Academy last year or in a regular classroom, Google Classroom was the mode that students received assignments and received grades. That will continue this year in PTRA. All the grades and assignments are going to be maintained in Google Classroom, as well as, in addition, there will be, at the middle school level, Power School will also have all the grades and schedules and attendance information as well. I don't believe Mrs. Milton is going to be entering grade information in Power School, but we typically don't do that in elementary school anyway. But middle school will have that. We do have transcripting responsibilities at the middle school level, and so we will do that. Of course, all students, regardless of what school they're in, who are in 3rd to 8th grade, have to take those Smarter Balanced assessments. Those are our state-sponsored or state-required high-stakes tests. So that's whether you're going to traditional school or in PTRA. And then we will have report cards that are issued on the same schedule as our other district schools, and that's quarterly. So for the middle school students, they'll get a report card each quarter. For our elementary students, the end of the first quarter, they'll receive a progress report. The end of the first semester, they'll receive a report card. 3rd quarter is progress report, 4th quarter report card. So that'll be on the same schedule as our other district schools.
Erin, can I add to that too for grades and such for the middle school parents? There's a program called Edmentum Family Sensei, and it allows a parent to log in to see the progress that their child's making in Edmentum in the classes. It doesn't give them a full view of all of their assignments and everything they're doing, but they can kind of keep track of the fact that they've been logging in and doing their work. So
yeah, that's a good tool. Certainly for all middle school parents, I would recommend you connect with that. You obviously got a Power School account because that's how you got your kids registered. And so just to continue to monitor, and you have opportunities to do some things in Google Classroom too. And Miss Ayers will get you information on that as well, and Miss Melton. So the next thing, just want to talk, I guess I want to underline some of the things that I've already said, and that has to do with in-person versus virtual options. So we're going to have in-person and learning and social opportunities for all students every week for those who want them. Okay, so there are opportunities for kids to come on campus to work in person with teachers and staff, also socialize with other kids in person. Parents can choose which, if any of those things, they would like to have their students participate in. So any in-person opportunity is optional. That's completely up to a family. If you can, A, get your kids there, number one, and B, you feel comfortable having them there. If you do not or cannot, that's perfectly okay. They're always optional. Just remember, though, that when on campus, if you do choose to have your kids come on campus, all of our district COVID mitigation strategies are being observed. So that means masks, that means distancing where we can do so, and sanitization. All of those things that we do in all of our schools will continue to be done in PTRA as well. So just be aware of that and ready for that. And obviously our goal is to provide options for students to get together, to connect, to work on things together, and give them opportunities to the extent that parents are comfortable with that. So that's really what our mantra is all about in this school, is we want parents to have full control of when their kids are on campus, if at all, or in person, if at all. So hopefully that summarizes it. I want people to really understand that it's completely optional. There's complete flexibility. We are going to offer as much in-person opportunity as possible, but just know that if you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. Let's see. I think at this point, Faith, we were going to go ahead and have you run through that video that you wanted to share. So I'm going to stop sharing if you would like to go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, that's fine. So I did want to preface this video with, it's really geared toward K through 5, and it is a tiny bit long. So I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to make sure that the middle school people got, and then anyone who wanted to stay, or if I should just show it and we should, stop it.
Perhaps what we'll do is I was going to have, speaking of middle school parents, I was going to have some of our folks that were in the middle school program last year chat about their experiences. So that's maybe we'll do that, and then we'll go to that, just in case folks from the middle school want to drop off.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
All right. So actually, I do want to turn it over to Wendy Holcomb and Maddie Macias Valadez. They're both actually, Wendy is a retired teacher from our district, and Maddie is a current teacher. And also I see Bill's over there, and he is also a current teacher. So we've got a whole bunch of educators here that are happy to share with you their experience. So if you guys want to go ahead, that would be awesome.
So last year I had the great opportunity to work with the Virtual Academy with my grandson, who was a 6th grader. And we found it to be a wonderful program. We really like the flexibility. It's hard work. It's not, just turn the kids loose. I found that Hayden did best, especially in the beginning, if I sat with him and we read through the materials carefully. We learned that if we printed out the materials, then we could go back and highlight the material. Also, most of the lessons have study guides, which were incredibly helpful. I really appreciated Mrs. Ayers Flood. She was always so helpful and reachable and so easy to work with. And one thing that really worked well for us was that Hayden was able to complete extra classes, and just, by working really hard. He's a 6th grader, but he got through the first term of 7th grade math in the year. And it just, the flexibility was phenomenal. Okay. So it, towards the end of the year, I noticed that Hayden was doing more on his own and, didn't need me as much, but still there checking in to make sure the understanding was there and that, he was on target. So it is just a wonderful program. I'm really excited that we are with us again, with you guys again. So, and this year we get to have a kindergartner and a 7th grader. So that'll be fun for Nana. So last year Hayden really looked forward to the class meetings and even just connecting virtually with the other students. And Heather offered walk and talks on most Wednesdays when weather cooperated, and those were really fun. He really looked forward to that. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity for more of the social, interactions too. Hayden's very excited about that part too. But yeah, we just love the program.
That's great. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate it. Is there anything, Maddie or Bill, is there anything you guys wanted to add?
Maddie.
I just really I felt like Hayden focused better with this program because he didn't have the distractions of all the other kids around him.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked forward to school with this, where before he really didn't look forward to it. So I was just really impressed with it, and I'm looking forward to another great school year, especially for Jaxie, and Jackson's excited and Hayden's excited. So it's a good feeling to have.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I appreciate that, you guys. So I think hopefully that makes some of you middle school parents feel better. I think that maybe what we'll do, Faith, is we'll answer some questions and then we'll finish with that video, just so that everybody can kind of get a chance to, if anybody has questions, to get them answered before we get into that video. So at this point, if any of you guys have questions, you are free to either unmute yourself, or if you're not comfortable with that, you can type them in the chat, whatever your preferred mode is. But really just want to make sure that you guys have your questions answered as we get ready to roll into our first days of school here tomorrow and the next day. And while I wait, modeling excellent wait time as a teacher, I will add more information and just say that I know Mrs. Milton's going to talk about this, but tomorrow is likely not going to be an instructional day. It's going to be a getting on the technology and making sure everybody's accounts work and we can access the things we need to access so that when we get started for real on Thursday, that everybody's got those kinks worked out. So hopefully that'll give you guys a little bit of a breather. You've got your equipment and paperwork, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get everything working correctly before we get started in earnest.
I have a very brief question. Simply that all of the information that you've shared in tonight's meeting, you're going to be sort of, and have already, and maybe will in the future be sort of disseminating via email as well. I'm just sort of, I'm conscious I'm not taking any notes, and I'm just wanting to make sure that I have it all and all of the bits of information that you shared and so on. That's it.
Yeah, good question. And I'm going to actually post this. I'm recording this video, so I'm going to post this on our website. But I think what I'll do is there's also a frequently asked questions page on our website, and a lot of this is covered in that as well. So you can reference that. But I'll probably go back tomorrow and make sure that that's up to date with the things we've talked about here tonight too. All right. Anybody else?
I'll apologize ahead of time if you guys get blasted with different emails from me. I know I sent one out last week and then immediately sent a correction to my schedule, or like, the day today I did. And then, so sometimes you'll get a few different emails with things, and I probably could consolidate those into one, but maybe it's better in small chunks too. So if you do get, I'm not spamming you. I'm just making sure you have all the information that you need. So.
I have a question. My camera's not hooked up. I'm just curious if, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jenny.
I'm just wondering if you know how many 7th graders are, I'm potentially wondering if everyone showed up to a class meet, how many that would be.
I just looked earlier today. I want to say 13, 12 or 13. Does that sound right, Miss Harris or Danny?
Well, middle schoolers right now we've got.
She was saying specifically 7th graders.
Specifically 7th graders. That's my largest group. Yeah, and I think there's about a dozen probably. I think I've got 2 8th graders.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And maybe 4 or 5 6th graders, and then about I think somewhere around 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. By the way, I did see you come in today, Jenny. You walked past my office. I didn't get a chance to flag you down, though. I was on the phone at the time, but I saw you.
Yeah, and Savannah says hi, by the way.
Yeah. Savannah's over there? Excellent. Tell her hello.
You would have saw her if I had a camera.
Good. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? And of course, this is not your last opportunity. You guys can pepper the teachers with questions as much as you want, or Danny or me for that matter. And again, all of that contact information is on our website. So if you're thinking, geez, I don't remember, what my teacher's email address is or the phone number I can reach them, all that stuff's on the website. And you probably already have it anyway, because we've, like Ms. Ayers said, we've sent a lot of emails out in the last few days.
I do have one more question. I'm not sure. I know, let's see. I can't see who's all on right now, but I'm curious. We homeschooled last year, and Starla's a very active, loves people. And so I'm just wondering, anyone else that has someone that desires face-to-face contact, how they dealt with that going into a virtual schooling. Our agreement was that she would play volleyball, and so we're doing the virtual thing this year, but she really does want to get back into in-school classes, which is our goal, but we're just not ready at the moment yet. So that was our agreement. She would do volleyball to have some face-to-face contact with people and do something she's enjoying physically as well. But I'm just wondering, as an academic structure of being on screen and not being face-to-face with friends, if anyone has anything they could share on that might help me work with Starla in that regard.
Well, that's a good question. So if there are parents who maybe had experience with the virtual academy last year and would like to speak to that, you guys are certainly welcome.
So Hayden also really misses the face-to-face time with the kids. And like I said, Miss Ayers offered the walk and talk every Wednesday afternoon from, I think it was 2 to 3. Is that right? Or 1 to 2 or something, 2 to 3. And so, we just made sure and took advantage of that every opportunity that we had. And that was, something that Hayden really looked forward to. And then, Heather also had some time, usually on Fridays, for the kids to interact with it virtually. Yeah. And that seemed to help out too a little bit. This year, like I said, we're very excited about the options of maybe spending a little more time in small groups, with the kids live. So just making sure that the kids take advantage of all the opportunities, that they can safely is really important, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And I'll just add, since that brought that question to mind, I know Jenny and I had spoken earlier about, and many of you are probably in this boat, about wanting to know about kids who are going to start in the virtual environment. Maybe we want them to return to the in-person schooling at Talent Middle School or Talent Elementary or Phoenix Elementary, whatever the case. So we are going to offer that option every quarter. So for parents who are unsure about, is this going to work for my kid? Or, we're just a little concerned about the COVID numbers right now, but if it comes down, we want to go back in person. So we want to be really flexible about that. So basically every 9 weeks, there's going to be opportunities to move kids in and out of the program or the school. So if you're wondering that, that's the policy.
Okay.
Rachel, I think you were maybe going to say something. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I was just gonna say, I mean, I have my daughter in virtual academy this year, but something that helped with James last year with when we were doing distance learning, all the different names, was, well, there were lots of things that didn't work with he and I interacting. And so what I learned was one of his buddies, they could be on the phone together. And these are middle schoolers, so it's a little different, but they could be on the phone together doing some work. And that was like beautiful to me because then they were interacting and helping each other. And we were lucky that we have a really great buddy to do that with. So that's worth trying out too. I know I'm going to try to do that more, especially now, just for parent survival purposes, that sort of thing. So anyway, there's a suggestion.
Any other questions out there or any other thoughts?
Thank you. I appreciate those shares.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Okay, well, that being looking like there's not a lot more questions. Faith, why don't we maybe go ahead and move into your video, and then folks are free to hang out, watch the whole thing or not. I'll stick around till the end and see if there's any questions beyond that, and then that'll wrap it up.
Perfect. So my video is actually a family or a mom that was a part of our program last year. And her and her kiddos just had a lot of success with the program. And I felt like she was super organized and just had some really good tips for you guys. She can't be here tonight, so that's why she made a video for us. However, yeah, just want to encourage you to take a look at it if you're needing some advice on, just some things that worked for someone else. I'm going to try, let's see here. I've got to share my class tag and hopefully, is that video up there now? Only the video?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. I think, is that my first one? I think this is the first one.
My name is Harvey, and my family participated in the virtual academy last school year. We have decided to continue with that for this school year as well, and we are really looking forward to starting it back up again. I think the biggest thing I learned last year was that school at home is so very different than school at the elementary school. The structure is different. The distractions are different. The kids are home. They're with their family. They're with their siblings. They've got their toys. They've got their mom is their teacher, or their dad is their teacher. Everything about it is different. And one thing that helped us along the way was coming to that realization and accepting that it is different, and it's okay that it's different. It's our job to support them, guide them, champion them, and they're doing a pretty incredible thing. They're learning from home, and fortunately, my children had a lot of success with the program. And so rather than trying to force them into something that just wasn't quite working, I just chose to accept the fact that it's going to look a little different at home, and we made it work. So anyway, Mrs. Milton asked me to share a little bit about our experience last year and things that we learned along the way. One big question I think a lot of people have is when you have younger children at home and you're not quite sure how that's going to work out when you've got your older kids that you're trying to learn. I do have two other children. I have now she's 5 and a 2-year-old. So last year my 5-year-old was 4 and my 2-year-old was about 1.5. So anyhow, it did make things a little bit different, and it can be tricky. So what I learned was
that when you do have your siblings around, or the kids have the siblings around, you know, someone's going to need something, or there's going to be a little sister running through the room or wanting to be involved with whatever you're doing. So it does require a lot of flexibility, a lot of patience from both the parent and the child. We tried to incorporate the younger siblings as much as we could. One of the assignments at school tended to be independent reading, where the kids had to read for 20 minutes every day. And my daughter would oftentimes choose stories to read to her little sisters. And so she'd go sit with them on the couch and cuddle up and spend her time reading to them, which was a great way to incorporate the younger siblings with the older siblings and with what they were doing. My son had many science videos every week that was also of interest of my daughter, my younger daughter. So she would sit with him and watch 10 minutes of learning about a different animal or whatever science question they were answering that week. And that was a fun thing for her to participate in. They have math songs that go along with their math assignments that are a little bit goofy and fun, and the little kids like that too. The art lessons, the drawing lessons, we tried to just let the younger siblings check it out. And if they had interest and wanted to see what their older sister and brother were doing, we encouraged that so they could be a part of it too. And of course, the recess breaks, get them involved, have them all play together. Obviously, all age groups are a little bit different, but for our family, it worked out to where when my kids would take their breaks, they would head out and play with the younger siblings as well. If you do have a baby at home, if the baby naps or sleeps in, work on the more difficult stuff when they're sleeping. The things that your children are going to need more help with, more guidance with, more teaching on. Get those things done when the baby's asleep. So that way you have more time to focus on the older kids. And for us, that really helped. My youngest, my little baby, she sleeps in the morning. So we would get up and try to get right to our schoolwork and take care of the most important tasks at the beginning of the day, which would allow me more time to help teach.
So I'm just going to grab the next part of her video. Take me just a second.
Thanks, Faith. I think you figured out that echo, yeah? Well done.
Guide. And another thing that helped us was we scheduled twice a week. My mom came and had a special play date with my younger kids, and so it gave them something to look forward to. It also motivated my older kids to get through school quicker because they wanted to play with Granny too, and that helped a lot. It gave them a special something that they got to look forward to. So if there's a play date or maybe something fun with art or learning games or something that the younger kids get to have special just for them while the older kids are at school, we really benefited from that. Another thing that is challenging is figuring out how to keep your kids on task, how to keep them working when they're at home and they've got Legos sitting right next to them, or they've got toys in the other room, or they've got family members popping in and out of their school zone. That's hard. It's hard for them to do that and stay on task and want to complete school. Some days we had so much motivation, self-motivation, where they would come downstairs, they'd eat breakfast, they'd get started right away and just work through their day. Or they'd work on things for later in the week, so it would free up those other days and to give them more time on those days. But not every day was like that. We had days where it seemed impossible to get our work done. and things would drag on literally all day long, where we had to just stop and say, okay, we'll come back at it tomorrow. And that was okay. Accepting that is part of the process, I think, and knowing that we don't have to get it all done today. That's kind of part of the perk of being at home, is that if we don't get it done today, we'll do it tomorrow. And the Academy offers a lot of flexibility in timing of when you do your school, whether it's weekdays or weekends or mornings or afternoons, or it's however it works best for your family. And that really helped our family, because there's always things going on, and there were things that would get in the way of a normal school setting. So that helped us a lot. As I mentioned before, little afternoon visits with grandparents, or maybe a trip to the park or something like that, would help motivate and keep the kids on task. And as the year progressed, we got better at it. And so it didn't seem like such a burden to have to get all of your assignments done, because it was just what we did. And sometimes you didn't get them done, and that was okay. There's a lot of extra work that that Mrs. Milton provides for the kids to do, but it's not stuff that they have to do every single day. So you can structure your schedule to where maybe there's 1 or 2 extra things, and then if that doesn't work, it can always get pushed to a different day, or maybe skipped until next week. As long as the kids are feeling good about what they're doing, I think that was key for us. That would help them keep going. Taking breaks was very important. And I had 2 kids in the program at the same time, and they weren't on the same path. So sometimes one of them needed more breaks than the other, or one of them stayed focused for longer than the other. So originally I worked it out so they would have their breaks together through the day, but then they kind of started monitoring themselves, and we'd notice when one or the other needed a break, or sometimes they had them together.
Faith, did you have another one, or was that the final section?
Sorry, I'm getting the other one right now. It's
Okay.
taking me a half
Yeah,
a
it
second.
didn't seem like the end.
It wasn't. I'm sorry. I forgot to
No
say
problem.
anything. I got distracted trying to get it.
No worries.
And we just go with that, and lots of breaks, as much as they needed to get up, move around, wiggle, giggle, laugh, be loud, so that they weren't just sitting in their little space doing their work all day long. We tried to incorporate as much fun as we could. And also, another big thing about being on task is to have a space designated for them to do their work in. So we tried to keep things as clear as we could of toys. It wasn't always possible, but they knew they had their space every day to go to and get their work done. So that was another thing that helped them accomplish things through the day. Committing to the strategies and the methods that Mrs. Milton or your teacher is teaching is something that helped me out a lot, especially with math. Things are so different than the way we learned them, and I wouldn't know how to do it unless I read the guides that she sent out weekly, or I listened to the live meets, and I could follow along with her guide and her teaching of how to complete the assignments. So it's a learning curve for the parent as well, because you see how they have to learn, and you have to accept the responsibility of using those methods, even though it's not something you're used to. So having those guides that she sent out is great. Those methods and ways of learning things, the strategies, cross over into the iReady programs, into the testing, different math lessons or reading lessons that they have. So if you aren't spending the time learning that yourself, the kids really don't get the tools to navigate through those other programs either. So I found that the guides that she sent out were really helpful. If there was a question or something I didn't know, I could always, look at those at the beginning of the week and kind of see where the week was going. And that was really helpful to have those. And like I said, the live meets, I would just listen and watch those as well. I was always in the room so I could hear what was being taught, because otherwise you don't really know. You're listening to your kid tell you what was taught, but sometimes things are missed or misunderstood. So the live meets give you a lot of information too that help you guide your child through the day. I think looking back to last year and looking forward to the year ahead, I think my favorite part of being able to have the kids home in the virtual academy was that I got my babies back. What a gift. Taking them to school, kindergarten for both of my kids, it was one of the hardest things to go through. And I participated at school because I wanted to be a part of what they were doing and see what they were learning and things. But in the situation we're in, having them home, having them here, having them safe, it's been a really big gift to have them back. And it's been fun to see them get to spend more time with their siblings, time that otherwise they wouldn't have. So it's been a great pleasure to watch their learning, see how they grow, see how things click when they do click. It's a pretty fun thing to be a part of. And I wouldn't have chosen this otherwise. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to have the kids back home and be a part of learning with them for the time being. I've watched my older kids really learn how to care for the younger kids, and just get to see their own relationships grow within each other. So even though we're not participating socially with other kids their age, it's been a fun thing to see them socially grow within our own family. And that's been a fun thing that we're grateful to have that experience. Looking forward to another year of it. Hopefully it just gets easier and better for us now that we kind of know a little bit more about what we're doing.
The next video she has is just kind of going over the schedule that she created for her kiddos. And they are a little bit shorter, but I just wanted to let you guys know that these are just schedules that she created and their learning space that I'm going to share with you right now. So make sure I can get the right tab.
When we started out doing distance learning, we used our kitchen table, which worked out great. But when we committed to the academy, we decided to take apart a bedroom that we had and rearrange some things. So we had the space to build.
Can you mute that?
Brought in a big table, so they had a nice workspace. Last year they sat across from each other. And sometimes that was challenging. Other times it was fine. But this year we're going to sit side by side and have that space in the middle between them used for their school boxes. And then over here we have a shelf where that empty box is where we put all of our school books and notebooks, and it can all get cleared up at the end of the day. And then the computer can sit on top and charge over here overnight. That way school gets put away and home time gets back into being home time. The room has also become used as a bit of a play area, so that way when the younger kids are in here, they do have some things to do as well. So that's our space, and I wish you luck in the academy. It's been a wonderful experience, and I hope everybody has a good experience as well. Thanks so much.
She did have one more thing. I think I accidentally showed the last one that shows their schedule that she created, which I showed to parents last year from this particular mom. She did such a great job with it. So I'm just going to share that one, and it just goes over how she created the kiddos' schedules for the day and how they could cross them off as they went.
Okay, so here is an example of what our schedules would look like last year. And on the left side of my board, I put together one that is more structured in how we started the program out. And then over here on the right side of the board is how we ended up doing it. So basically those scheduled breaks were taken out, and we would just add in the breaks where we felt necessary. I would also use this as a guide for them to kind of have an order of completion. Didn't always go that way, but we would aim for that order. So when one person had their live meet, the other one maybe did iReady, and that way that gave me the opportunity to listen to their meet. I also would add in little reminders for things that needed to happen, choosing something for a project or social time. We always seem to scramble for making that.
Okay, so that was her last video. I did want to let you know that I do have another parent who is willing to chat with people if you wanted to give her a call. So if you reach out to me, I have another one that will talk to you about some things that she did. And then this one who has the videos that are posted now and recorded. Both of them did an amazing job with their kiddos and just had some really good ideas for everyone. So it was long, but I hope it was worth it.
Appreciate it, Faith. I think that the folks, that really didn't need that information have dropped off, but everyone else, I think that's very helpful for. So at this point, I just want to check in with Denny. Denny, is there anything that we're forgetting before I let people go? Is there anything on the registration end or any of the other things that maybe you need to share with folks?
I don't think so. I think that we got all the enrollment forms completed from the parents who didn't have those done yet. There were a few parents who said they hadn't received our emails. So if your teacher says, both teachers said they've sent out emails. If you hadn't received those emails, please get in touch with us. You can call Phoenix Elementary, or on the website is our phone number and our emails, and just make sure that we have your correct contact information. Other than that, I think just having the correct contact information is the most important thing on my end.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Denny. Bill, did you guys have a question over there? Or Maddie?
I have two questions.
All right.
So my question is about iReady. The kids are still doing iReady. Is that correct? Okay. And is it still 45 minutes a week for each subject?
Yeah, it depends a little bit on the grade level.
Okay.
Yeah, generally.
Okay.
Yeah, 45 minutes per week for each subject.
Which is pretty easy to do within the week. And then is there going to be a social thing this Friday, or when is that going to start?
We are working hard to make sure that does happen this Friday. I will be sending out an email if for some reason. Yeah. My only concern is that if we had like our number of kiddos. So I am requesting that people send me a message saying, hey, we're planning on attending. And if there are too many, I'll have to like break it into sections.
Sure.
Sure. That's my only real possibility of anything changing.
Sure. Okay.
But we'll also be doing it online. The Fridays. So if you can't make it into class or you don't want to go in person, then I'll be doing the same thing that Miss Milton's doing online with the kids.
Okay, because this one's just asking about going in, so it'd be good to get him.
We would love to have him. Yes, I will be sending out an email about that as well, because we're going to try to we are planning to have lunch in between, and so just making sure parents are aware of that and where we're going to be eating and how that will look. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And Mrs. Melton, sorry, when you say send an email about coming in, is that for people that haven't made it clear they're coming in, or even like people like me that have already said, yeah, we're coming in every time, or like, well, who, like, should I be emailing you each day, or? Oh, shoot. I can't hear you.
Yeah, she's muted.
Okay.
Sorry, my mouse kept on like jumping.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do know that your kiddos are coming in. If you, for this week, if everyone could try to send me a quick email on Wednesday and say, hey, yes, we're guaranteed, we're going to try to come unless something comes up, that would be great, just so that I can get those numbers hard and fast right now. Class tag or email works great. But yeah, for people who are going to come every time, just maybe you could specify, say, hey, we're going to do this and we're planning on always doing it. If not, just if you're coming every once in a while, try to send me one the day before.
Thank you.
All right. I think Jenny had a question next, and then Corey's right behind her.
Yeah, Starla said she was having problems getting logged into the Chromebook. Can I get what, or do we have that information yet, or is it supposed to be her email? She said it wasn't working.
Yeah. So I think that, did you grab the paperwork that gives the information on logging in?
Maybe I did not.
That's okay.
The middle school kids didn't have that paperwork.
Okay.
But, I can let Miss Ayers Flood know to email that to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Jenny, why don't you contact her, and she can get that to you, Jenny, in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Corey?
Hey guys. So I just had a question about, I believe it was Friday. I was looking at the itinerary that you guys sent out to everyone, and it looks like you have listed there that it's art and social time. Will art be a part of that every Friday, or is that something that's going to kind of fluctuate, kind of depending on what your schedule is looking like and things that you need to accomplish and stuff like that? Just because my daughter showed interest in, wanting to go on Fridays, but, doing everything else the rest of the time at home.
We are planning to do art every Friday that we can. The only time that we may not is if we had, we do have some options for possibly going to the park, scheduling some special field trip type experiences that we might do instead. And then we wouldn't have that art time. But typically, yeah, it'll be art. We'll have, we'll have a lunch break or lunch right at the beginning, and then we'll have art lessons, and then we'll have some social time after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Well, if anybody has any last questions, now would be a good time. Otherwise, I've held on to you for an hour, which is more than I had planned for. I know that many of you guys have other things that you'd like to be doing this evening. So please don't feel like we're inaccessible. We're always available, email, phone. Again, the website has got all that information. I'm going to continue to try to update it, make sure that everything's on there. But you certainly have your students' teachers' email addresses, mine and Danny's as well. So email is always good. Phone calls are good. Anybody who's coming in person can find us too. So yeah, just excited and looking forward to this school year and seeing how this all develops. And I think with that, Coral, you got another question?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think with that, we're going to be finished for this evening. We may have another get together again here as we get toward the end of the quarter, just checking in and offering some other information. But you will certainly be getting emails from teachers and from me sharing more information as it comes along. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. And looking forward to
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Say bye-bye before she hangs up.